So you're building a new thing.
So more of like, again, like a kind of like a passion project that I'm working on that, maybe if it's good, then I will see if it's something that I can build out even further. But so I started with the translation app. But then I've been also trying to learn Chinese on and off for like the last 15 or so years. Both like Cantonese and Mandarin. I'd probably say my Cantonese is a bit better than my Mandarin at the moment. But I really want to practice and speak more Mandarin. So I thought, well, maybe I can have AI like help me with that, just to like maybe give me some corrections on my tones, so that then when I'm actually speaking to people, that they can understand what I'm saying and I can have more practice.
So you mean you basically turn an AI, like to ask AI to build your Mandarin teachers, a Mandarin learning buddy?
Yes, so I've built like an AI private tutor that you have a voice conversation with, and then it will take you through a lesson that is a structured lesson plan and provide feedback based on what you're saying, all in real time. So at the moment, it's kind of like at the prototype stage, just for my own personal use. And that's something that, I just, thought about, okay, what did I learn from building my translation app that I use for interpretation, to think, okay, how can I take some of those kind of principles and then apply them to learning a language? So I think there's so many different use cases that you can get from AI, and you can build pretty much like anything that you want if you kind of like had the idea for it.
It sounds very fantastic, but it almost sounds too fantastic to be true. Like you said that you don't know, and like at least you started with no any prior knowledge in computer coding. And then you go into this, and then now you're telling me that you can just like specifically tell AI like tailor-made program for you.
Yeah, so I never knew how to learn code, but I've always really enjoyed just working with computers, and I'm definitely like a tech geek.
So were you very patient as well?
Yes, and I also have spent like just many hours working with these like AI models for coding, often, up until like midnight at night, go to bed, wake up 7 a.m. the next day, I'm coding again with the AI models. So I've definitely like put the hours in with them. And I think through that process kind of like learn how they are. But I mean, I wouldn't really call it like coding, but when I was like 15 years old, I made like websites for my next door neighbor. They had like well,
that's probably already more coding than some of the Vive coder are doing now.
Yeah, maybe. And that was like, I did like get out I had like a HTML textbook, and then I would just copy the examples.
What was it? HTML5, HTML6?
I think it would be 5. I was using like Macromedia Dreamweaver, like back in the day to do it. But then, like from the age of like 16 onwards, I never touched it again until recently, when I then kind of like picked it back up.
You just managed to skip all the complicated part and then get back to the point of, because we basically went through a cycle, right?
Yeah.
Like I think HTML 3, 4, 5 is when humanly you can still kind of understand, and then it got into the deep end that you have Java, JavaScript, and then all those, and then you managed to skip that, and you come back to when computer coding is almost understandable by human again.
Yeah, and then I guess lucky in that sense. And then I've also been following like the rise of like cloud technology, and been really interested in like how all these kind of things work. I wanted to build my own like this was before I had kids. When I had free time, I wanted to build my own gaming PC, but I couldn't, because all the GPUs were sold out because of the crypto mining at the time. So I've always had like a keen like eye on like technology. and I've always been like I think if you ask like my friends, they always say that I'll always like be recommending like apps for them to use.
So what do you do? Do you go to forums? How did you start it?
So the place where I think I get like the best like intel on these things is definitely like X, like Twitter. Which can be a bit like, if you've never used it before, you don't really use it, like opening up that app is a bit of a minefield because there's a whole bunch of content on there. So I do spend a lot of time curating my algorithm to like keep out like the politics stuff and all the old stuff that you can see on there, just to really like focus on the AI stuff. But there's really a lot of great stuff on there.
Wow.
For me, that's like the usually place that I check. And then, arguably, I think a better way is like from in person, like community.
Yeah. So AI Thinker is definitely a game changer.
Like being able to like speak to real people about like your passion is way better than like posting online or just reading comments.
The AI Thinkers they have chat groups.
Yeah.
And I have never been in such an active chat groups.
Yes.
That it's just 24/7. That people just go on and on and on.
Yes.
and there are a lot of offline events that you can join as well.
Yeah. And then like now like I read all the blog post announcements for like new models and things like that, and maybe sometimes it's a bit unhealthy. Like I'll wake up in the morning and then the first thing I'll check is like, have there been any new model updates overnight?
So it's a bit of an obsession.
Yeah, like whilst I'm still in bed, like checking, did GPT 5.4 come out last night?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Because you do also like different models from different providers have different personalities and are good at different things.
For instance?
Like some models are very good at design and aesthetic, like some of the Anthropic models, some of the open source Chinese models, like Kimi, Quen. They're quite good at. They can be good at like front end design, creative writing, whereas other models are like much better engineers. They're very like pragmatic. They're not like very fun to work with, but they can be very good at certain tasks. And it's only when you really work with them like daily you kind of realize those things, and then you kind of think, okay, which one do I want to turn to for which task?
We almost talk about them like they're like pets with different personalities.
Yes, yeah, they are. And there was a period when, it feels like a lifetime ago, but it's probably only a couple of months ago when ChatGPT had a problem with sycophancy, where it was just agreeing with whatever you said, to the point where they actually had to do a press release to say that they had this problem and what they were doing to to go against it. People were coming up with, the most crazy business ideas. And then ChatGPT would be like,
and they go, yes,
that's a great idea. You should definitely do with that. Go with that idea. So this
almost sounds like teenagers that they developed into different characters, and they have some problem areas.
Yeah.
So you have to maybe your advice is to try different models and see which one.
Certainly. I would definitely say the more models you use and you just get exposure to, the better. I've even experienced seeing friends use the same model and getting different responses to what I get, which can be based on your communication style, can be based on a lot of these apps now, they have the concept of memories. So they will remember things about you when you say it. Now, at first I thought that's great because it means that I don't need to keep repeating the same things, and it will remember the style that I want of responses. It's going to remember facts about me. But then sometimes I think, actually, is that polluting the context where it's telling me what I want to hear based on what it knows about me? Whereas I think maybe it might be interesting to say, okay, if I turn this memory off, what does the blank model tell me, so that I can look at it more.
Is that possible?
It is, yes, it is. So that you can have it tell you more objectively rather than
because
based on
for me, like for instance, like when I go to streaming website like YouTube, I use different account just because sometimes I really think the algorithm is too narrow, so it only remember the last five video that I watched, and it keep on thinking that that's all I want to do.
Yes, yeah, like just one person's algo is going to be very different to the other, and one thing that maybe you click like on one video, hopefully this one.
Yes, remember to click like, share, and comment.
It's that's going to change the algorithm.
Yeah. Hopefully, it's going to bring you some good stuff. Let us know like what weird video that you get sent to like by clicking this video.
And AI can be very much like that.
Like, thank you, Tanya. I get to like feed with like a 2-hour soy sauce making video because we like this, Yeah.
Like an example is like, okay, I thought, okay, I'm going to have AI build a knowledge base for me of the things that I'm working on, so that I can, when I chat to it, it's going to really kind of know everything, and maybe I think, okay, maybe it can be like a consultant. And
it's like a mini Alex.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of time building this whole structure, filling out lots of information, and then I didn't use it for a week, and then I went back to it, and obviously within the space of those like 7 days, things have changed. I might have changed like some directions, some strategies. Some of the information that I gave is no longer relevant. And then when you ask it a response, it maybe over-indexes on some of the things that are in there. Or maybe I mentioned one short line about like one statement, and it just clings onto that point. And then will give me a response that I'm like, hang on a minute, that's not the right kind of like output I was looking for. So I think a lot of these things haven't been really solved yet, which is why I think ultimately it comes back to taste and knowing knowing what you want and what you like, rather than having the AI just tell you everything and always go along with it, because they do sometimes pick up on really small details and kind of like anchor.
But isn't that the problem? That in some sense that I mean, like last time with org that we talk about like taste is like this is constant argument, right? The like nurture versus nature. Let's go along saying if taste is nurtured, then like maybe this is the like maybe give it a few more years. This conversation, like this discussion is a moot point. But right now we see that if taste is nurtured, then that means that you have to go through a series of experience in your life in order to actually accumulate to a certain like you distilled it and you form this set of thing that you call taste. And it has a lot to do with the fact that in the past we actually get to participate in a lot of elementary experience. However, by having AI, we kind of jumped, and very often we actually don't go through those elementary experience. So where does the taste going to be formed in future?
But we still have our own experiences that are all only unique to us as individuals, and they can be big life experiences, or they can just be the interactions that we have with like people on a daily basis.
Do we still interact with people?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a big like reversion to more in-person events, and I think this is something that came up in like some of the discussions around education. How do you assess students if all work can be done with the assistance of AI? Well, the one way that you can really tell if somebody at least has an understanding of things by speaking to them.
Yes, like this.
Yeah.
Did you actually?
I was thinking about that as I was saying that. Okay, I better be careful how I say this.
Did you really make those programs? Did you actually
Yes.
come and plan? Yeah.
But you anybody can now, you can write about things very easily, and things can be said online, through typing or putting out articles, because AI can just spit them out like nothing. So I think there's going to be a huge emphasis on in-person engagements, like speaking to people, whether that's at events or just interactions. And I think, I mean, we talked about like the direction of software and things. Like, I don't know what, like, I have no idea what the next few years are going to be like.
Next week or something.
Yes. I have no idea what it's going to be like, but I do think that like personal connections, I think, and
authentic experience.
Yeah, it's going to be much more important. And I think we've definitely moved away from that over the last 15, 20 years or so with social media and everything. And I think, it's, I mean, I would like to see that becoming more important rather than keep going in the same direction that we've been going in.
Well, my personal pet theory is that all children never wants to do what their parents did. So like I think when I was little, to actually write copybook was a form of punishment. But nowadays, most of people are now learning penmanship. So who knows? Yeah. And so we talked about a lot of your side projects. How about your AI CMS? What CMS automated beverage?
I need to think of a better name, really, for that. So the company is called SignalEight, and the whole sort of like ethos behind it is how can you use AI as as almost like a teammate, but as if it's like your assistant to help you with your sales process. So not that it's going to go and do the sales for you, but it's going to help you be a better salesperson or a better relationship manager so that you can grow your business.
So let's say I have a product. Maybe it's kombucha, or maybe it's beer, maybe it's a form of new snacks.
Yeah.
I can use your program.
Yeah.
And then your program will say, you make this new snack. It's probably better to sell it here, to do this kind of sales.
So it's more like when I was working in fintech, I was using a CRM system, and I would record my sales activities. I would manage my pipeline. But I think for a lot of people, that's seen as administrative work.
Very boring.
Field sales rep for, let's say like a beer distributor or a wine supplier, they want to be spending time speaking to their clients. They want to be, in the field, visiting bars and restaurants. They don't want to be sat in front of a computer, entering data entry into a CRM system. So SignalEight has a AI agent that you can speak to through chat or through voice, and then it will help you record that information. It will help you manage your pipeline, give you insights for your sales, so that you can spend more time on the relationship side of the
so it's actually basically doing the grunt work.
Yes.
And actually maybe in some sense that in the past, like people who are interesting salesmen who are very good at talking to client tend to be the one who doesn't really want to do this grunt work.
Exactly. And I've been in that position where I was kind of like what you call like a road warrior. I used to travel every week, and I would do 20 meetings in a week. And it can be challenging to remember everything that you've said. And then things can kind of like slip through the cracks in terms of follow-ups. So I thought, okay, how can AI help us with that? Well, AI doesn't really forget things. So that really
built from your real life experience?
Yes. And then also because I was the co-founder of a food and beverage company doing oat milk. We also, had challenges with sales and wanting to kind of grow the business on that side. And, a company might be using Google Sheets or Excel to kind of track that process. That's kind of like who we're targeting, rather than at least at this stage, a large company that is using Salesforce or one of these big titans of a CRM system. I think to many smaller companies, that's quite intimidating. They don't want to hire a consultant to manage their CRM system. They just want something that they can use immediately and that their sales team will use without thinking that it's an extra task or burden for them to do.
So with your, probably very good with people who want to start a new business in F&B. And I remember, I can't remember, was it Cliff Bar or different bar that they were built by some fitness enthusiasts. And then they, in the beginning, none of the traditional sales channel picked it up. So they basically brought the bars on the road across America and just go to each gym and start selling to the people. And I think for your app, that's probably really fits with this type of people that I want to start something. Maybe I have to sell guerrilla style, and that's something that grow with you instead of having a large program that going, how many billion are you selling?
Yes, yeah, it's more for companies that are they're hustling to they want to get more business, they want to find more ways to kind of distribute their product, and having insights from AI that tells you, okay, these customers are ordering. Helping you to kind of research who you should speak to.
Or also this particular customer seems to order more in winter. Is it about time to hit them again,
Exactly. And AI can do all of these things for you. So the AI agent in SignalEight will give you kind of insights that tells you where you should spend your time. Even though you as a salesperson, you'll have that kind of that feeling. But sometimes having an objective point of view of where you might be missing can then help you sell even more. Because you would think, okay, right, you might go into the office or the brewery or the factory, and you might think, okay, who am I going to speak to this week? You probably know which clients you want to, or which customers you want to go and speak to, but there will be some that perhaps you don't consider. And if they can be surfaced by AI, that means that you can be even more productive and you can...
And also AI seems to, in some way, that they're capable to strategize in a way that we human might be different. I remember the most memorable example is when AlphaGo, the way that AlphaGo play is very different than human, because AlphaGo can just play to win by one. That's for thousands of years of Go playing. Human brain can't track to win by one. We win by 30 maybe, but to win by one, it was a very, very different way of doing things. Yeah.
It's like, we as people, we're very relationship focus, and that's why I really do think that relationship is extremely important. And how can you use then AI to help you, particularly from a business perspective? You don't want necessarily AI to have that own or run the relationship, but what can it do to help you have more and better relationships with your customers? That's what.
So do you still in sales? Do you still use the program yourself, or are you concentrate more on the software now?
Yes, I'm using the product to try and sell itself as well. So I'm using my...
Are you happy with your own product?
Yes, yeah, of course.
You don't go back to AI, you didn't do well.
You can use it to track the opportunities that you're working on, and to give you insights on customer feedback, so that then when if I add a new feature, I know who to go back and tell that the feature that they wanted is now ready. I can use it. I can use it for those kind of examples.
That sounds really good. I definitely going to have you come back again to explain the model, like maybe the week after.
Yeah, how about next week? And then
we're going to do a news report style, right? Yeah. But thank you so much, and And also thank you, Orca Lab. Thank you,
Yep, thank you.
for the 10th level research lab at Orca's Robotics.
Orki Labs on
Orki
the
Labs.
10th floor. Yeah.
Yes. And also subscribe, like, and comment. And yeah, we'll see you soon.
Good.
Good?
Yeah.